What's up, everybody? Welcome to another GreenBroz webinar. Super pumped y'all can be here today to talk about one of our favorite subjects in the whole wide world, GMP. We got a great webinar set together for y'all today, talking about all things GMP and how GreenBroz can help you on that journey. And along to help me do that, I have our Director of Key Accounts, Mr. Ben Oregi. Hey, Ben.
Wes, how you doing?
I'm rocking and rolling, man. Anything gets me fired up, it's GMP.
No, I'm with you, man. Nothing more riveting than this. So I appreciate being on.
Hell yeah. And then we have our project and process master, Jordan Blackwell, also joining us. Hey, Jordan.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here and, of course, to talk about GMP.
Awesome. And hey, so before we get into this, guys, I just wanted to let everybody in the audience know we have a full GMP toolkit that you can find in the handout section here. You can download that guy and start creating wonderful processes of your own and get a little bit more familiar with GMP. And with that, let's go into this prezzo that Jordan put together for us.
With the beautiful assistance of our marketing team. So we're super excited for. Awesome, guys. So kind of just jumping right into it. The broad question is, what is GMP? And GMP is a lot of things, but to me, it means it's a proactive quality assurance. The best way to assure quality for your business is to focus on how to execute and control standard operating procedures and to ensure a consistent end product. GMP is an overarching set of manufacturing and processing pharmaceutical standards that are regulated through an accredited certified body with the goal to ensure safer consumption products. As you guys know, processing covers a wide scope of departments in your business and specifically targeting handling, cleaning, quality assurance, packaging, products, and training. So GMP is really centralized around a really solid quality management system, which is a compilation of integral company processes that focus on how you process and maintain a high quality product, along with how you identify and manage any non-conforming procedures. A strong QMS is really going to support you in being consistent with your product and assuring that you're meeting your brand identity standards.
Righteous.
Beautiful. And then this next slide, I call it the 5 Ps of GMP. I couldn't tell you where I got it, but it's really stuck. And I think it's really comprehensive scope of some of the things that you might tackle in your GMP adventure. So for me, the 5 Ps start with the forefront of your business, which are your people, the ones that have hands on the product, the ones that are getting you through the start to the finish line. And GMP wants to know how you are effectively training and integrating these people into your QMS and the scope of your business. Following that, you have your end product. And obviously, we all have a goal of having a consistent, good, high quality end product that you want to maintain. And you want to have control over how you tackle any variances, how you can continuously improve that product, and having a solid process to identify those procedures and manage them is incredibly important. Getting into that.
I was going to say, yeah, I don't mind. I was going to stop you right there, Jordan. Yeah. And I was curious, Ben, you spend a lot of time with MSOs, and can you speak a little bit about why consistency is so important to them?
And a lot of times those states, well, pretty much every time, those states have different regulations. So the more you can control, the better the outcome is for essentially the customer. That's who you're trying to make happy and please at the end of the day. So if somebody has a positive experience with a brand in Washington, and then they go to buy that same product by that brand in, say, Michigan, they want to have that same experience. I hate to use the McDonald's model or anecdote because Big Macs aren't incredible, but if you have a Big Mac in one place and you want to have that same experience somewhere else. So that's kind of the idea with an MSO. It helps to create that brand awareness, that repeatability, that consistency. You become known as the company, no matter where you go. You're going to get that great pre-roll. You're going to get that great 8th, whatever it may be. So the consistency is a big part of that. And the only way you can get consistency is by having repeatable processes that you can take from one facility to another.
Yeah, that's what I really enjoy about this slide is it just makes Jordan does such a good job of outlining this for our facility. Like it makes it really easy to troubleshoot as well. Like when you start seeing issues come up, you can go back to your processes and say, where is this coming out? Like, why is our end product different than anything else? And I mean, you don't also just you don't have to use McDonald's. You can use literally any global brand in the world. You know, every Mercedes, probably in the same class, gets the same gas mileage, feels the same. You know, when I open a Truly's or a White Claw, they always taste the same. I don't even drink those. I don't know why that's the top of my mind for brands.
But no, to kind of jump onto that, like you guys said, having these strong processes and strong procedures that you're able to consistently follow makes it really apparent when you're having a product that is varying from what your, definitive standard is. And a really important part of that is troubleshooting and, using metrics and different identification tools to isolate that variance and continually improve your business on how to move forward without that variance,
Absolutely.
and all very important to GMP, but also us and every brand out there. Quality management is key to, again, quality assurance.
Wes, and if I could add one more thing into that, Jordan mentioned it, the idea of keeping metrics and measurements as you go along in the process. That's one of the key ways that you can improve efficiency in your operation. And as we all know, the cannabis market is only getting more competitive. So the more you can do to lower your cost of goods, to reduce waste, all of those things that basically go straight to the bottom line. That's another reason why GMP practices are so important.
Totally. Well, and I don't know if disconnect's the right word, but it's really interesting to me how the best cultivators we know and the best brands we know, say Foch, like they make data really easy to grab. And you're seeing the success that happens with that when you're constantly doing science experiments. And the only way you can do that is really nailing down like what part of your process you're testing. And if you can continue to optimize and refine those things, you're only going to get better products. You're only going to get better flower, everything else under the sun.
Awesome. All right. So this next slide, I love it. So GMP advantages with GreenBroz. Obviously, we're talking about consistency. We're talking about good processes. How does that apply with us? And how do you get an advantage by working with GreenBroz equipment? Off the top of my head, a big part of GMP is having food safe material. So all of our machines are 316 stainless steel and are incredibly easy to wash down. Machines are easy to clean and cut down downtime. We strive to hit toolless disassembly on nearly all of our units, and it really increases your efficiency in product changeovers. Obviously, a big part of GMP is not having any cross-contamination, so the faster you can swap parts in and out of your equipment and get a thorough wash down going is incredibly important to the efficiency, but also the quality of your product. In addition for that material, like I said, is food safe. So 316 stainless steel. We use food safe plastics as well, like UHMW, HDPE, Nylotron. But we strive to make sure that our material is in top grade shape for your equipment and for your facility. Furthermore, better trained, safer, and more efficient personnel. Like we tackled in that last slide, you have, people as your first P in GMP. And with GreenBroz equipment, we strive to give you guys a comprehensive user manual that, gears your team towards effective training on how to utilize our equipment. And even more so, we're actually working to launch a training service where we can send people out to your facility and conduct training with our equipment in a consultative manner to help you find how to utilize our equipment best with your product, which is super awesome. And I'm really excited to move forward with that.
Dude, yeah. Can I add one more thing that we have? This is more just a pat on our team's back. We've digitized all of our material that's around our machines, and we've supplemented those with video content. So it makes training your folks way, way, way easier. They don't just have to thumb through a 100-page manual anymore. They can have an interactive experience, and we take a lot of pride in how much effort we've put into the UX behind getting folks up to speed.
Although if they want to thumb through a 100-page manual, they still can.
Yeah, if you like the feel of a manual and you let us know, we'll print it up for you. Absolutely.
Just want to tackle that last point that we had there with the kind of international scope and everything. Obviously, GMP standard is really apparent over quite a few different markets, and those GMP standards may vary from market to market. And we have a really awesome R&D team and a paperwork that we go through with our GMP clients, where you get to go through our machines functions and understand how we meet your regulatory compliance. And if there's any red flags saying, hey, I need this component to meet this criteria listed in my standard, our R&D team will work with you to adhere and apply that standard to our equipment. So also really positive benefit. Now, risks of not applying GMP practices. As we talked about, GMP is really focused around quality management systems. So what happens if you don't have a solid quality management system? You're likely going to have variances in products, variances in personnel operations, and it may affect, your end user's experience and inhibit that brand consistency where you're talking about. In addition to that, once regulations do start hitting our market and other markets, there's running the risk of conflicting with regulatory bodies, which nobody likes to do. So always being preemptive and kind of ahead of the curve, I feel, is super important. And Ben, I'm sure you have a lot to kind of apply with this in some of your past experience in, what are potentially the risks of not having this stuff.
Yeah, so just a quick background on myself. Before getting into the cannabis space, I worked with companies who were going through the clinical trial processes. They were either trying to get a medical device or a medicine approved, and they basically had to meet FDA regulation. So that's where I was first exposed to the incredible world of GMP. And we would go on site to facilities, do audits and that sort of thing. And when you start talking about the federal government being involved in your operation, they can do whatever they want, unfortunately. And what that means is if you don't follow some of these things, you can get fined, your licenses get suspended. You could also get permanently shut down. So there's all sorts of reasons from that standpoint not to do it, but also to kind of reiterate what Jordan said, loss of time, downtime, loss of inefficiency, potentially, having a harmful environment for your workers, or creating a product that is going to be consumed by somebody, and heaven forbid something bad happens. So there's all these really bad reasons that could come out of not being GMP compliant. And, we're not trying to promote this out of fear, but it's just the reality of the situation.
No, I mean, I feel like there's two things that are really certain to me for our friends here in the U.S. And one is that cannabis is going to be federally legal one of these days, probably sooner than later. And two is that when that happens, the FDA is going to be combing through everybody really intensely, because they're going to want to find problems, because there's always going to be people that still look at cannabis as the devil's lettuce and want to knock us down a peg. So I think these things are really important to get in your processes now.
Yeah, I think it's a really positive outlook, again, to be preemptive, and it's going to save you a lot of time, fear, and kind of anxiety getting that stuff rolling now and starting in a better spot when this stuff does happen. Ultimately, when the scary stuff does happen and it does come down, there are good support systems that you can find. We have really reputable consultants that we work with for our compliance regulations. And, the goal is just to figure out better ways to do things and work on that continuous improvement. So definitely strive to be ahead of the curve, and know that without these kind of procedures, you're potentially affecting your experience, your employees, and then the end user's experience, I would say.
Yeah, if I could add just a positive note to all of this, most companies, you're already doing probably most of the things that are going to be required in the GMP process. You may call it something different. You may not have a cool acronym like GMP for it, but you're already doing a lot of the processing and the procedures that are going to be required of you when you go through this step. So it sounds overwhelming, and it sounds like it's a big lift, and it can be to a degree. But again, if you're already operating in a top end fashion, you're probably already meeting a lot of the requirements that would be asked of you.
Definitely. All right, so we have this beautiful map of kind of different regulations across the world. And, something that we've kind of alluded to, but I don't know if we've said head on, is that the US doesn't have current GMP regulations that are focused towards specifically cannabis. But we are seeing that become more popular across the market. And again, we know that next thing, once federally legalization happens, is that we're going to get that on site. In addition to that, if you are looking to do any export of, cannabis, you do have to adhere to these other countries' regulations. So kind of getting to know those and opening up the opportunity for your business, I think, is incredibly valuable.
Sweet, guys. Jordan, before we get in, I know we have a nice video here, but before we get into that, I wanted to clarify something for the folks watching at home. And is that, can you talk to me about the difference between making a GMP compliant machine and being a facility that is GMP compliant?
Absolutely. I love this question. So equipment can be GMP compliant, however, it is not GMP certified. And that's because GMP is focused around the manufacturing of primarily pharmaceuticals and cosmetics. And now what's really important for us in kind of going on this GMP journey is that we want to understand what you guys are looking for in our equipment, but also we want to apply good practices and good manufacturing practices to our facilities as well. And while, I work on different compliances and regulations that kind of guide the scope of quality assurance and a solid quality management system, it is different than the standards that are adhered directly to GMP, which again is focusing on consumable product. And you can't consume machines, especially not stainless.
Sure.
A little tough on the teeth, I think, but
absolutely.
At least it's safe for consumption.
Awesome. And
but yeah, you just our goal here is to help find a good path and a good journey to work with you guys on GMP and everything, and we just want to be a part of that conversation.
Totally. And hey, folks at home, before we get into the video, I just want to let you know, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them into the Q&A section or the chat, and we'll make sure that we get to those after our video. And with that, I know we have a cool GreenBroz walkthrough.
Hi guys, welcome to the GreenBroz manufacturing facility. We are so excited to have you today at our GMP webinar. And today we're going to talk about our GMP practices as a facility, what that means to us, and then GMP practices and what it might mean to you guys. Now, starting with us, GMP starts with engineering and then ends with our processes. And we take into consideration various things like material, cleanability, and trainability for you and your employees. Now, for you guys, what GMP may look like is the adherence to overarching standards defined by a regulatory body and managed through process. So as we go through the facility today, we're going to take a look at the said materials and processes we use to make GMP compliant equipment, and also some processes that might be reflective of what you guys use in your facilities. So if you'll follow me, we'll take a look at where manufacturing starts here at GreenBroz. At GreenBroz, our processes start here at our document station, where we get our weekly pick list. This is essentially what our operators use to define what we're doing for the day, what we're working on, and what needs to go out through the door. So this is a well-utilized process that is trained and consistently used throughout all of our company. You grab this and you head over to our pick station to process some material. A couple other helpful tools that we have available to our employees to ensure smooth processes is a process change order request form, and also an engineering request change form. And these just help make sure that we're doing our best to continually improve. All right guys, here we are with our state-of-the-art laser cutting machine, which starts the processing of our 3/16 surgical stainless steel. Here at GreenBroz, we love 3/16 stainless steel, and it is the forefront of many of our equipment designs. In comparison, other machines on the market may use a food-safe coating over top of non-food safe material, which runs you the risk of frequent degradation, potential debris coming into your product, and frequent part changes. here, we love 316 stainless steel because it is already food safe, it is already antimicrobial, and it is rust resistant, which leaves you in a good starting place for your GMP facility. All right guys, over here, right after our stainless steel is cut, it goes through our standing station. And frequently over in this area, you will find one of our batch carts. A standard part of our process here at GreenBroz is maintaining quality through each station. So over here we have Dan double checking our pick list, the document you saw over at the top front of our building, and he is verifying that all the parts are in fact here on the cart and that they are in good quality and ready to move on to the next station. Each operator signs off once they get a batch cart before it enters that next station. All right guys, over here we have our welding cage where our two very talented welders practice a various scope of welding techniques, including seam, TIG, MIG, and fabrication. In addition to that, over here we have our CNC plastic processing area. This is where we process other food safe materials, including UHMW, HDPE, and Nylotron. Here we are in our electrical station. Now here at GreenBroz, we are a 508A UL listed panel shop, which essentially gives us the capability to build and develop our own electrical boxes. Now, as you guys know, designing with GMP in mind is always at the forefront of our design process. And so our electrical boxes are, yes, wash down resistant, but actually completely detachable. So you can super fast take your electrical box off and get right down to power washing your full unit, which is going to significantly decrease your time in wash down during any type of product changeovers. All right. Over here we have our amazing assembly line with some very talented employees that take our parts and turn them into your guys' equipment. As you know, we touched on QC a couple times throughout here, so before our assembly team gets our batch, each station signs off on the quality of the parts, they get built into the equipment, and we head over to our final quality check stage. All right guys, we've walked you through our manufacturing site. We've taken a look at our processes, our best practices, and the choices we make to make a GMP compliant machine. Now that we've seen all that, let's apply it. So over here we have our new Model G. And as you guys can see, almost the entirety of this machine is made out of 316 stainless steel. As we talked about earlier, that means it is antimicrobial, anti-rust, and wash down ready. Now, in addition to using the 316 stainless steel, we also aim to design our equipment as toolless disassembly and maintenance. So over here we have Ray demonstrating just how easy you can remove the components of our equipment to get right down into cleaning. As you guys see, that lifts right off. In addition to that 316 stainless steel, we have some food safe UHMW. Now, as we talked about in our electrical area, our electrical boxes, while they are water resistant, are entirely easy to just remove and get right out of the way to continue on with that cleaning. As you guys can see, it's just a quick lift off the brace, unplug those yellow wires, and you're ready to go. Now, we know that GMP isn't about what you do, but more so how you do it. And at the forefront of how you do it, we know it's all about your employees, their training, and operations. And that's why at GreenBroz, we strive to give you guys comprehensive user manuals with easy to follow SOPs on operating, troubleshooting, and maintenance. Now, in addition to that, we also offer the GreenBroz Academy, which can be found by a fun QR code attached to your brand new unit, or also on our website. And lastly, if you have any more questions about GMP, you can also download our GMP toolkit, also available online. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on our GreenBroz manufacturing tour. I was so excited to walk you through our processes, best practices, and some of our design choices. Now, GMP is an incredibly important topic to us here at GreenBroz, and while GMP was standardized to create regulations across pharmaceutical and cosmetic manufacturing, we are frequently seeing other markets such as Europe, Canada, and Australia create cannabis-centric GMP regulations. As legalization continues, we know that the US is going to be the next stop, and we want to be your partner in finding GMP compliant solutions in creating a consistent and quality end product. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hey, wicked cool video, Jordan.
Thank you. It was a blast to film.
Cool. Wait, before we get into our audience Q&A, I had a few follow-ups here for both you and Ben. And the first thing being, I'm just curious. So, I mean, just to give everybody in the audience a little background on Jordan. Jordan has really made the GreenBroz facility safer and more efficient by her knowledge of creating really great processes and following through with those. And I'm just curious, Jordan, like, where do you start with something like that? Is it at the end product and work backwards, or how do you go about creating a really great process?
I like to start off with whatever's available. So sometimes that's a baseline process that we kind of just have to expand on, or other times it's a blank slate. And in the place of a blank slate, I'm a very big observer. I'm a hands-on learner. And so really getting into process with me is about connecting with the employees that have to operate routinely on that process and getting firsthand experience on how to make it effective for them and how to make it effective for me and other contributing departments. Once I can get into that and I can get the feel, I understand the routine. It's really just strategic training, strategic language, and a comprehensive document to kind of walk people through what we're now standardizing. And again, you mentioned follow through, which I think is the most important. A big part of process is engaging in your employees and getting that buy-in and making this a company-wide solution, and follow through is extremely important on that front.
Yeah, well said. So Ben, I know you've been over in Europe and checked out some facilities over there, and as you mentioned, you work in pharma, seeing a lot of GMP facilities. Like, what do you see in common at these places?
Yeah, so in Europe primarily, and in some of the companies we're working with down in Colombia and other South American countries, they are treating cannabis as a medicine. So they're essentially, these are pharmaceutical grade facilities that they're operating out of. And in many instances, these are companies who came from the pharmaceutical industry and now have got into cannabis. So a few things they have in common: extreme attention to detail. That's first and foremost. Everything is very detailed and outlined, every process, every procedure that they have in place, accompanied by a checkbox and initials. Everything is documented, so you know what happened when, by who. Cleanliness, sanitation, sterilization, that is of the utmost importance, which basically leads into the mitigating the risk of cross-contamination. And they all have a person or a team who's dedicated strictly to this GMP protocol. Now, maybe, and there's other protocols in there as well that they're working on, but again, it's a person or a team that they take it seriously, and this is their main focus, is basically what they do. But it's interesting when we get contacted about a company overseas who's looking to potentially purchase our equipment. First thing they ask is, are your machines GMP compliant? They don't care how my day is going. They don't, the pleasantries don't happen. The first thing they ask,
they're so nice.
Yeah. Well, once we tell them that our machines are GMP compliant, then
then open up a little bit.
Friends. But it's really a non-starter. If the answer is no, then all right, cool, we'll talk to you later. So it is something it's not just, hey, it's a good idea in these countries, it's a requirement. But I hope that answers your question, Wes, about what we're seeing in these facilities.
No, yeah, absolutely. And then for both of you guys, I know GreenBroz, we've been working on some things, and we kind of alluded to it earlier, talking about what we do besides make GMP compliant machines to help folks get cool with GMP. Can you guys talk about that a little bit?
Definitely. So I mentioned earlier that we're working towards launching a training as a service, essentially. So we are working on a program where we will send one of our engineers, or our sales engineers specifically, out to work with you guys at your facility and train our machines, everything from operating to maintenance to washing to troubleshooting, tips and tricks, and then with that, there will also be opportunity to work with our products on your material, which I think is incredibly important because obviously different strains and different products have different consistencies and require different attention to details. And so having a expert on our machines available to work with you guys and really fine tune that process with your team and your employees, I hope is going to be incredibly valuable. And I think it's really exciting that we get to offer that. And again, with processes and training being such a big part of GMP, this is just another added tool to kind of help you through that. It's a learning curve for everyone, and we're happy to go through that with you guys.
Oh, I just, I know we have some execs in the audience right now, and I'm certain that people are a fan of high-level training in the executive branches because they see the value of being able to learn a process better or get better in a short time. And I think that's really what bringing a consultant into your facility does. Like, you're immediately going to optimize all your machines. You're going to be able to go faster. You're going to be able to have less breakdowns. Your staff's going to get better. So yeah, I see a lot of value in it, and it's not just because I work here. It just makes sense.
Yeah, Wes, just to add on to that, one of the nice things about pretty much everybody at our company, we've been in hundreds of different cannabis facilities, and we've seen our machines used in a variety of manners, and indoor, outdoor, light deck, you name it, whatever it may be. So we're able to come into a facility and kind of take a look and evaluate and say, oh, okay, here's what you're trying to accomplish. Well, we were over at this facility and they were doing this and it worked really well. Oh, you guys are thinking about doing that? We know a couple companies that tried it. Here's the reasons why it didn't work. So a lot of times, not that we're, the end all be all and know everything about cannabis, but we have been to a lot of these facilities and we have seen a lot of successes, and we've also seen a lot of failures. So a lot of times we can help you we can't perfect everything you're doing, but we can help you get to that. We can help you down the road, get down to that point a little quicker, and maybe avoid some of the pitfalls that may come if you just haven't gone through that experience before.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move over to audience Q&A. I think Emily, we handled Andrew's question about our Model M funnel. I believe he's talking about our barrel. Yes, that is fully removable. Very cool. And then Alejandro is asking us if we cover Mexico. Alejandro, do you mean, do we serve machines in Mexico? Because the answer to that is absolutely yes. We would be happy to get you a machine in Mexico. But if you have anything else you would like to add on to that question, please just throw it in the chat. While we give Alejandro a quick second here, is there anything else you two, Jordan, Ben, wanted to chat about today as far as GMP is concerned, or anything else that you think the audience can benefit from learning out there?
Yeah, I would say just to kind of drive this point home, GMP it's not something that should be looked at as, geez, we've got to do this, it's required. Okay, let's get it done. It should be something that, which is true, but it should be something that is looked at as, wow, this could be a really valuable process for us to go through to dial in our operation, to save money, to do all those things that we talked about. Depending on whatever you're looking to do, and depending on what your mindset is going into that task or project, can dictate, the amount of joy or not so much joy you get out of it. But if you look at GMP as something, again, as a tool to add to your arsenal of how you can make your operation better, how you can improve everything in your company, then it becomes less of a daunting task. It becomes a more enjoyable process because you know that all the things you're doing, all the time you're putting into dialing in this GMP process, it's going to reap the benefits in the end.
Oh, totally. It's such a big value for or I guess opportunity is the word I should say, for our facilities here in the U.S. to get ahead of the curve on this one. Because to your point, Ben, like the shutdowns that are probably going to happen after things like this get implemented on the front end, like being able to get ahead of that is just huge. And you have the immediate benefit of having a more efficient, safer facility.
Absolutely. One other point, in this industry, employees kind of come and go, probably more often than you'd want them to. So when you have these processes, well-documented processes and procedures in place, it's a much quicker, uptime to get somebody onboarded, to get somebody to where they're not somebody you're training. There's somebody who's actually operating and providing that ROI that you're looking for. So another reason why having these processes and procedures well documented benefits your company.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that lost knowledge is so real when you just have it sitting in somebody's brain. And I know everybody on this call or everybody watching in the audience probably has a different cost for onboarding, but everybody will probably tell you it is not cheap. So anything you can do to expedite that process and get people working at an optimal level is just so clutch.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I guess really just last kind of point for me is you guys know that I love processes. I love a solid quality management system. And I think I'm just really eager to be a part of the conversation as the market develops. And again, as GreenBroz proceeds with our GMP efforts and how we are trying to help our markets and everything, again, I'm just really pumped to be a part of the conversation and help people get ahead of the curve.
Nice. And hey, we have a few more questions coming in. Kelsey is wondering, does our equipment have UL, NSF, or other certifications to ensure safety and or sanitations? Jordan, I'll let you jump into that one.
Yeah, so we are a UL 5088 listed panel shop, which certifies our electrical components. We are currently working on UL certifications. However, that is a work in progress. We are not certified NSF, but we do contain food safe materials and are currently working on our NSF certifications as well.
Heck yeah. Cool. Do we have anything else? I think it looks like Emily and Alessandro are having a nice time. Anders, I'm sorry, are having a good time in our chat, but I don't think we have anything else coming in from our audience. So I think we're good here, guys. Really appreciate both of you taking the time today, and I appreciate everybody here at home watching. If you have questions about anything that GreenBroz can help your facility do, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're super pumped to have those conversations. If you want to learn a little bit more about GMP, feel free to download that toolkit from our handout section. And otherwise, have a rockin' day, everybody, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Wes.
Awesome. Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.